Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Amy plays Stormbreath Dragon while Nick is at 4 life. Nick has a Hallow. Can he live? What if Amy also has the mana to make Stormbreath Dragon monstrous? Well, the logical answer to this question is no, which, based on the fact that I graded it 4 stars, obviously means the answer is yes. And that's all I have for you today. Oh, okay, alright. I guess I should maybe explain things a little bit better than that. Even if you weren't metagaming, there is a chance you might have noticed something was up if you read the text of Hallow very carefully. Hallow says to prevent all damage target spell would deal this turn. Now, if you're a templating nerd like I am, you know that Wizards loves taking words off of cards. That's why stuff says enters instead of enters the battlefield nowadays. Why would they need to time gate this effect of Hallow when you can only target spells? Was there some kind of long-term spoiler for quenchable fire? Well, it turns out there's actually another reason for this. You might already know that if you use something like an Artificial Evolution or a Blind Seer to change the characteristics of a permanent spell on the stack, then those changes would persist onto the permanent that spell becomes after it resolves. Prevention effects have their own rule that does exactly the same thing. Therefore, if you cast a Hallow against a Stormbreath Dragon spell, all the damage the Stormbreath Dragon will deal until the end of the turn will be prevented. This applies to combat damage and also to damage from its ability, and even damage that results from other cards, like if you had a Prey Upon that made the Stormbreath Dragon fight something. This rule is relatively unknown because, well, it doesn't come up super often. A lot of prevention effects let you choose a source and apply to damage from that source, so there's not a lot of purpose to using this trick. Hallow only being able to target spells is one of the only times this rule gets to show up. Here are a couple of additional example scenarios to show you what else you can do with it. First up, Hallow is a pretty good answer to this Apex Allosaur. It won't deal damage during the fight, but it'll still take damage, and every fight will gain you 10 life. As another example, Hallow will prevent all the damage that this Chandra would deal this turn. And here's the really interesting bit though, it would not stop the damage from this Huatli Neg-3 because that ability has the Dinosaur deal damage, and Hallow's prevention effect only applies to the damage that the Huatli spell deals. You'd have to Hallow the Dinosaur spell to stop the damage from the Huatli -3. Huatli also would not be able to stop the damage from this Ajani 0. In this case, Ajani indeed does deal the damage itself, but Hallow can only target spells, so you would have to target Ajani Noctal Pariah. The ability that transforms this permanent into Ajani the Avenger does so by exiling it and returning it to play. Although Hallow's prevention effect can track the spell as it moves from the stack to the battlefield, there's no rule allowing that prevention effect to track the permanent if it leaves the battlefield and comes back. When Ajani returns transformed, it'll be considered a brand new permanent with no connection to its previous self, so the damage from its 0 ability will not be affected by any of those prevention effects from Hallow. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.